Welcome back, everybody. Today I'm back with a bizarre looking air fryer that looks more like a 1950s space helmet than an air fryer, but supposedly this one will level up your air fryer game with features most air fryers don't have. So let's see how it works in today's video, starting with the unboxing. Let's take a look at this glass air fryer called the See Me Air Fryer. I paid $199.99 for this on Amazon, where it currently has a 4.0 star rating among over 500 reviews. On the back here they say it's got a digital touch control, tumbling basket, 7 stunning colors, rotisserie motor, tempered glass bowl, self-cleaning, small footprint, no Teflon BPA or PFAS. We have instructions, a what's in the box card, safety card. It's well packaged. I'll give them that. It's very well packaged. All right, well, here's the unit itself. It looks pretty nice. This is by the brand Tater. But they claim it's a 5-quart glass air fryer with a 360-degree view. They say it's self-cleaning, non-toxic. There's a rotisserie spit, tumbling basket, air stand, and motor. They say it has 9-in-1 presets, and it cooks up to 400 degrees. Now, people online who liked it, some people said they love the design and the non-toxic feature. They say it cooks evenly and delivers nice, crispy results. Now, those who didn't like it, some people said the motor requires batteries. It's not durable, it's too big, cooks slowly, or the self-cleaning feature is worthless. So I need to pull all these things out of here, clean everything off, check out this motor here because supposedly it does require batteries. Why would you have an electric appliance that requires batteries? I don't understand that. But I'm gonna figure that out in a little bit here. So I'm gonna clean all this off, read these over, and then we'll get started. All right, I've washed this off, read over the instructions, I'm ready to get started. Let's look at the control panel first. Pressing the power button here. Defaults to 380. They have several presets here, which I probably won't use because I'll be manually setting these up. But you can go plus and minus on the time, plus and minus on the temperature. Pretty simple. And then that will be your start and pause. But what I want to do for the first couple rounds is just kind of get used to it. I'm going to do a couple simple things just to see how it works. And we'll move up from there after I get a feel for how it works. Now, the instructions say they recommend thawing everything before using it. I'm not thawing out frozen tater tots before I put them in there. I'm not doing it. I'm doing frozen tater tots first. I'm not thawing them. But I will put them in the tumbler so you don't have to, like normally air fryers, you have to shake the basket around. Here, you just put it in the tumbler and it completely takes that step out of there. So you can just let it go for the entire time, ideally. So we have our tumbler basket here. We just open that up, drop our tots in. Oh, I've also already attached the motor here, which I'm not thrilled about having a separate motor for the rotisserie and the tumbler, but that's what we got to deal with. But it attaches easily there, on off with this switch right there. I don't know why they couldn't have it powered another way, but that's what you got to do. Now, you don't want to overfill this so they have room to tumble around in there. Put one side in here, one side in there. I think we are good to go. I've got this set for 400 degrees at 12 minutes, which is what the instructions on the tater tots recommend. So all I have to do now is hit start. And then hit the switch for the tumbler down here. I like the light that it shows you that it's on. We are going, all right. All right, so at this point, all I really have to do is wait. I'll keep an eye on them, but I think that the 12 minutes of 400 should be good, I guess. If I have any additional observations as it's going, I will let you know, but otherwise I'll come back in 12 minutes and we'll see how they turned out. All right, we have 1 minute left. There's a good amount of heat coming out of this back vent here. It's actually quite hot. And they're looking pretty good. Hopefully they're done, but we shall see in just a minute here. I don't even know if there's an alarm or a bell of any kind. We'll find out in a few seconds here. Let me see, can I take this off? Is it too hot? This does not seem too hot. They do say I need to put that lid on a heat-proof surface, which I just did. Now you can use this tool right here to take the tumbler out of there. Let's see how awkward this really is. Oh, not too bad, not too bad. We are good to go here. Can I move this? These handles are not too hot either. I can move this over a little bit. And they are not done. Not done. They're almost done, but they're not done. Back in we go. Motor is on. Now I should point out that the air fryer only goes to 400. So if you're making something that calls for 425, you're gonna have to adjust. I put this on for about 5 more minutes. That might be overkill, but they weren't quite done yet. So we'll keep watching this over the next 5 minutes. And when they seem done or when the timer goes off, I'll let you know what happened. Let's check. All right, now I hear sizzle this time, which I didn't last time, so that's a good sign. Let me just try to crack this open before I remove it. I think it can go a little bit longer. It's not crispy enough for my liking. I'm going on 3 minutes, which is gonna make a total of 20 minutes, which is what the oven directions call for. Is that crispy enough? Not crispy enough. I'll come back in 3 minutes. More sizzle this time than last time. I'm taking them out. It's been 20 minutes. There's what we got. They look pretty good. Let's dump them out of here. They sound crispy. They sound nice. All right, so I think that we are looking pretty good. It took longer than I expected it to. I followed the air fryer directions, but it seems like the oven directions are more appropriate. Maybe because of tumbling, I don't know. But overall, we have nice crispiness. They look pretty good. Some people might go a little bit longer, but they are certainly done. They're crispy on the outside. Let's take a bite. They're cooked evenly. They're cooked all the way through. I would say for this first softball test, it did a pretty good job, although it did take a little bit longer than I expected. But we have more softball tests to go before we move up to the bigger leagues. For my next test, we're gonna use the air tray. And I guess we just stick it in here. I'm not cleaning this out yet. I'm gonna do 3 things and then clean it out. They have a self-cleaning mode. We'll do that at the end of this first set of tests here. But for round number 2, we're gonna go with a grilled cheese sandwich. Now the instructions say to flip foods on the air tray halfway through. I'm not doing it because I wanna test it out. I wanna see what happens if I don't flip it. I wanna see how unevenly it cooks if you don't flip things. So I'm doing a grilled cheese sandwich, not flipping it. All right, I have a basic grilled cheese sandwich here, buttered on both sides. I wasn't sure if I should butter these, but I figured I'll butter them. For the flavor, maybe to get some browning on it, I don't know. If you think that a grilled cheese in the air fryer shouldn't be buttered, let me know what you think in the comments below because I figured I should butter it. We don't need our motor for this one. So I've set this one to 360 and 8 minutes. I'm not really sure about that. I'm just kind of guessing. So I'm going to keep an eye on it and stop it when it's done or when the 8 minutes is up. That's my guess. We'll see if I'm right or not. And we're off. We're ready to rock. Let me get this out of here and take a look at both sides. Here's side up, which looks pretty good. A little bit of an awkward pattern, but not bad. And here's side down, nothing. Wow, that's a surprise. I was not expecting that one. That took me by surprise. I gotta put it back in here. It's funny, the top of it looked perfect, but the bottom, I guess I do need to flip it. So if you're considering using this and you don't wanna flip, I suggest flipping. I'm putting it in for a few more minutes. I'm just gonna watch it because that was not enough time. I probably could have flipped it around the 4 or 5 minute mark, but we'll see how long it takes to do the other side now. I don't know. Here we go. I'm gonna go 380. I went 360 the first time. I'm just gonna pick some random time and just watch it. I'm picking 5 minutes. Don't know if that's enough time or not, but I'm gonna keep an eye on it. I'll pull it out when this side matches the other side, whether it's 5 minutes or longer. All right, we're at 4 minutes. It looks pretty close. I think I'm just gonna stop it here. Once you hit stop, there is a delay before it actually goes off. This was originally side up. It looks pretty good. Didn't get any browner on the second round. And this was the part that was still uncooked. Now that it's side up, it looks pretty good. Not totally even. Will that really matter to some people? I don't really know. I probably could have done 4 and flipped it in 4 more. That probably would have gave about the similar results. But as is, I went 8 and 4, so 12 minutes total. That's kind of a long time for a grilled cheese sandwich. But let's see how it turned out. Very crisp. Nice and gooey inside. Take a taste here. That's crispy. That's crispy. That's probably in the 99th percentile in the crispiness category for grilled cheese sandwiches I've had. I don't know if I've ever had a grilled cheese sandwich that crispy before. That's crispy. I can't say I've made grilled cheese sandwiches in air fryers before, so this might be typical results. But to me, it's kind of a unique experience. It's a unique texture compared to other grilled cheese sandwiches, but I kind of like it. If you like crispy, this is the way to go. It might have taken a little bit longer, a little bit of practice to get it down right, but it did turn out pretty nice in the end. Next up, I'm gonna make some mini potato wedges and I'm gonna compare it to how it goes in the oven. So I'm gonna load up the tumbler, load up this baking sheet. We're gonna go side by side. The first 2 rounds, I'm kind of getting the idea that this air fryer doesn't run that hot. I'm going a little bit longer than I'm expecting to, so we'll see how it compares to an actual oven. So let's first load this thing up here. These potatoes were tossed in a little bit of oil, salt, peppers, and seasonings. We've got roughly equal amounts here. All right, we're going head to head, 400 degrees, and whichever one finishes first will end the test. It should be the air fryer, but we shall see. All right, so on this one, I'm gonna go 400 at 20 minutes. Air fryer is off. Now I'm gonna toss these in the oven, and when they're all done, I'll let you know how they turned out. We'll see how they compare. All right, we're done here. The oven's done. This should be done. If you look at the oven, this is just a small sampling of those. You have nice browning, nice crispiness. 28 minutes, it was on parchment paper, so not even against the direct surface of the baking sheet, it still came out very nice. The air fryer, no contact with the hot surface. It feels done. There's a crispiness to them, but the browning is just not there. Let me try these side by side. Air fryer, oven. That's a big difference. Let's taste them. Oven first. Crispy, nice and fluffy inside. Air fryer next. Evenly cooked, no crispiness. Not crispy. I'm trying to find if there's any crispies in here. It's not much crispiness. I guess we're getting a little browning in there. Let's see. Even with the browning, not crispy. Side by side oven test. I'm sorry, but the air fryer got demolished. The browning is better, the crispiness is better. Same amount of time. It seems to me like this air fryer takes a little bit longer than I would expect it to, so maybe it's running a little bit cooler. It seems very top heavy on the air circulation. When you have the tumbler going, there really isn't any surface it's in contact with, so it's just, I don't know. It lost this battle, but we've got more to try out. But that will be for my next set of tests tomorrow. I'm gonna let this clean off later today, run it through a cleaning cycle and see how that goes. Moving up to the bigger leagues now, let's try some wings in here. While it's cooking, I'll talk about the cleaning. Now, I did preheat this time. I didn't do any preheating yesterday, but I figured I would try it this time, see if it helps. I have a little bit of oil, some seasonings on these wings and mini drumsticks. I'll try to pack them in here as tightly as I can, which might be difficult. I don't know. There's not a lot of space down there. I wouldn't say the capacity is a lot. It probably doesn't hold much more than Ninja Crispy. It is taller, but it doesn't seem to hold a lot on the tray itself. And we're off. So what I'm going to do is go 12 minutes, flip them, and then cook them until they're done. But now, as far as the cleaning went last night, I realized they say it's self-cleaning, but you can only put a couple inches of water in there, and you can't fill it more than that because it'll splash out the opening in the side where the motor's at. So really all the self-cleaning does is clean the very bottom, which I'm not sure how useful that really is. The accessories are dishwasher safe, so we'll see how that goes tomorrow when I wash them in the dishwasher. But for now, I've got about 12 minutes till I flip these, and then we'll see how they turn out. Yesterday was my learning phase, and now hopefully I put everything in action and make perfect wings. We shall see. All right, I think we're about time to pull these out of here. All right, and that is what we've got here. What do you guys think? Look good? Crispy enough? Now, my observation about this is that the internal temperature was reached around 16 minutes, but I had to go another 6 or 7 minutes to get the crispiness right. They weren't crispy enough. So even though I had the temperature, I didn't have the crisp. I'm not sure they're gonna really compete with some of the top shelf air fryers out there, but the results aren't that bad. You might have to play around the time with the temperature, but I did get it to turn out fairly good. Try a couple of these here. All right, I mean, the flavor was good. They're still juicy. They're crispy-ish on the outside and well cooked on the inside, evenly cooked on the inside. Maybe not the best air fryer experience I've had with wings, but I do think it's a respectable end result. You might have to play around with the time and the temperature to get it right, but eventually I think you will. And with that, let's let this cool down, clean it out, and move on to the dehydrating function and see how that goes. All right, it's time to dehydrate some bananas now. Here's what I've got. I put these in a lemon solution. I cut them as close as 1/16 of an inch as I can get. I slice these with the blade ball, which I recently reviewed. So now all you have to do is cover it up and hit the dehydrate function. But my first thought is that you have all this space here. If they had another tray, you could double your capacity. It seems like a lot of wasted space in here. So let's add the lid here. Now for this, I'm going to use one of the presets. They have a dehydrate preset, but they say to check your dehydrating every 15 minutes. I don't think I need to do that every 15 minutes. Maybe after it starts looking done, but not every 15 minutes. For 4 hours, get out of here. All right, so I'm gonna hit I believe that's the dehydrate button. It looks like 90 degrees in 4 hours. This might potentially be a softball because it seems like a pretty easy task. Although, like I said, if they had 2 trays, it'd be even better. That's not really a lot of dehydrated bananas, but hopefully they turn out right. I'll come back either in 4 hours or when they're done, whichever one is first. All right, let's try one of these to see how they turned out. They look good. Let's see how they taste. Texture-wise, they came out like I like them, which is kind of in between chewy and crispy. Now, I should point out that not long after I put them on, I realized 90 degrees isn't really that warm. So I bumped up to 140 and did that for about 8 hours. Their dehydrator defaults to 90 degrees at 4 hours. Not hot enough, not long enough. But 140 at 8 hours, they turned out like I like them. Next up, a quick test here. Let's try a slice of leftover pizza. A lot of people have good results in an air fryer. Let's try that out in here. So I'm gonna drop it on the air tray here. That's what we've got. For this test, I'm going 320 degrees, and I'm gonna let it go for about 5 minutes. And we're off. All right, we are finished here. One thing that's funny is that the airflow blew a piece of pepperoni off the pizza itself. I mean, it's looking pretty good. Feels nice and hot. Came out nice, came out crispy. That was kind of a softball, but I wanted to try it out. I'm glad I did, because now I get to have this for lunch today. But if you've never warmed up pizza in an air fryer, going lower like 320 seems to give better results than going too high, at least in my experience. Next up, I want to try something a little more difficult now. I have got a 4-pound turkey breast in here. I was originally going to do it in the rotisserie, but I don't think it's going to fit. So I'm just going to cook it without the rotisserie function. I'll still do the rotisserie on something else. But here's what we've got. I've got some oil and some seasonings on there. As you can see, it just fits. This is a 4.2 pound turkey breast. I'm gonna go on the conservative side. I'm gonna go on the lower temperature and cook it a little longer, because right now, I'm not sure. With the grilled cheese, it was very top heavy as far as the heat goes. We don't really want that for this turkey, so I'm gonna go on the lower side a little bit longer. Maybe bump up the heat at the end. All right, I'm gonna go 330 for about 1 hour. I was gonna go 325, but you can only go 320 or 330, so I'm going 330. That's the plan. I will monitor it and make adjustments as necessary, but let's get this started and see how it turns out. And we are off. All right, our first hour is up. Let's take a look. And here is what we've got at 1 hour. Let's take the temperature and see where we're at. Anywhere from 140 to 169. Seems like the front section is warmer than the back section, so I'm gonna rotate this. I'm gonna keep it on the lower side so I don't raise up the higher temperatures too much. But I've gotta get that colder section up into the safe range there. I think we're getting close, but I have to make sure it's just right. So I'll see you back in 10 minutes. All right, our 10 minutes is up. Let's take a quick peek here. The temperature's showing just under 165, so I think we are good to go. All right, I'm gonna cover this up here, let it rest for a little bit, and then it's time for the big reveal. It looks good. Is it even? Does it taste good? That's the next test in about 15 minutes. Just take a look at a cross section here. You can see it's perfectly cooked all the way through. It still looks juicy. Let's give it a taste. It's a good piece right here. It tastes perfect. 1 hour and 10 minutes, and I have a perfectly cooked turkey breast here. So as far as I can tell, it passed that test with flying colors. I have one more test to try out before we wrap this thing up. Now it's time for my final test, and I'm gonna try out the rotisserie function. Now they say you can do a whole chicken in here. I don't know about that. I've got a Cornish game hen in here and it barely fits. I was thinking about doing 2, but only 1 is really gonna fit in here. I'm going 370 for 30 minutes. And as always, I'll check on it and make sure nothing funny is going on and adjust as I go. So here we go. Time for the rotisserie function. And we're off. All right, this is done. I'm seeing 168 in the thigh, so I think it's time to pull this thing out of here. The other side here. That side's not as brown as I would like. I mean, we're right at 165 here. If I were to do it over again, I'd probably crank up the heat a little higher for the last few minutes, but I didn't. I think it did work, but even this small Cornish game hen was barely fitting in there. It seemed like one of the legs was barely touching the bottom. It barely cleared the top, so they say a whole chicken. I don't know about that. So I'll come back when this is rested a bit, and we'll give it a taste. Let's cut this open now. It looks nice and white inside, and there we go. How about a quick taste test here? Juicy, quite tasty. One thing I do differently is crank up the heat at the end to brown it better, but otherwise it came out perfect. So let's take a look at the pros and cons of this air fryer now. While it may not be as efficient as other air fryers, which I'll get into later, it certainly is more versatile. So if you don't mind trading a little bit of efficiency or versatility, it could be worthwhile. Not a lot of air fryers have rotisseries built right into them or tumbler basket. It also has a good capacity. I was able to cook that 4-pound turkey breast in there. There's no way that would have fit in the Ninja Crispy. The glass design is kind of nice because you can keep an eye on your food as it's cooking without having to lift the lid. It's also easy to clean and all the accessories held up well in the dishwasher. But let's take a look at some of the cons now. Now, it's not as fast as other air fryers I've tried. Most of the things I cooked in here took longer than expected. It's also very top heavy with the heat. As you saw with the grilled cheese sandwich, the bottom was completely uncooked while the top was completely done. It's also kind of expensive. 200 bucks, that's a tough sell. It's also huge. The lid alone is bigger than my Ninja Crispy. Now, the self-cleaning mode really isn't that useful. It seems like it's just faster to clean it by hand in the sink. The pause button is useless because as soon as you take the lid off, it resets. So you have to start over again. And finally, I'm not not a fan of the motor being powered by batteries. But in the end, I would say I like it. I don't love it. I would say it's good. It's not great, but I think the more I use it, the more I might like it. There's a lot more tests I could have done. There's a lot of things I may have done differently, but that's the whole learning process of something like this. I do feel like the price and the slower heating might dissuade some people from buying it. On the other hand, the tumbling basket, the capacity, and the rotisserie might convince people to actually get it. But that's all I've got. If you've tried this air fryer, tell me what you think in the comments below. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time.